Few seconds. Good luck.
Do it.
Takes a while. Our internet is a bit slow. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are live. You can take it from here.
All right. So awesome. Welcome back live at Open Hack Stockholm 2020 Hackathon. So I hope all has been going well for you guys. And just a kind of reminder, at 5 o'clock, we have your mentor checkpoint number 2, right? Do not miss any of those. Yes, so I'm really, really happy and glad to present to you our next talk, which is about digital marketing. And we're lucky to have here with us our Senior Digital Marketing Strategist, Lorenz Eposito, and CEO and founder Marcus Molin. And they come from Bluehands, which is a full-service digital marketing agency, specialized in helping businesses attract new customers and establish strong brand awareness. So there you go, guys. Tell us about marketing, digital marketing, and everything.
All right, great. Thank you so much. It's honestly, it's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure, and hope everything's going well today. I'm sure it's been a busy day, and we have a lot of things to go over in this digital marketing workshop. It is going to be packed with as much information as we can, because I mean, digital marketing is a landscape of a lot of complex. There's so much, right? So this workshop aims to give you some concrete ideas, an overview, categorize the different types of digital marketing channels, a couple of the strategies, content creation, and then in the end, we have made a digital marketing checklist that we will post as well in the Discord channel so that you guys can navigate and apply some of these concepts as well.
Yes, and now allow me also to stress that, guys, feel free, please, to post any questions you have in the end. So we'll forward them to Marcus and Lorenz to answer them. Yes, if you have any questions, just go ahead. Thank you.
We love answering questions. Come on, give us some challenging ones, and hopefully you can apply them as well to everything amazing that you guys are doing there. Yes, so again, this workshop is usually about, we give a lot of workshop. This workshop is usually about 3 hours, so we try to get the best of the best and pack it down. So let's just get going here. All right, a little bit about Bluehands, so who we are, etc. We talked about it, full service. We're not going to go into too much in detail. We're a full service digital marketing agency. We actually specialize a lot in helping startups in particular. So we help big businesses, we help small businesses, but what's unique about us is that we also do a lot of knowledge sharing, right? We want to make sure that our clients, our partners, everybody has a better understanding of digital marketing in order to grow their business, increase their awareness, their brand awareness, increase their conversion, increase their traffic, you name it. That's kind of what we do. There's a lot more slides in this. I'm not going to be able to go over, but hopefully we'll go over and you guys can get more enlightened. But let's go over the things that we do have here for you. So a little bit about digital marketing overview as well. Everybody busts that word around a lot, digital marketing, it could be a lot of things, from SEO to social media to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So this is the way we classify it, right? The digital marketing landscape. We have email, social media, display, native, and search. We're going to go over these a little bit more in detail, but this is the way that we categorize so you guys can break it down a little bit easier to what digital marketing actually is. And of course, we have email. We're not going to go over too much. You guys know what email is. It's traditional, it's direct. Sometimes it tends to be a little bit overcrowded. I mean, the last 10 years, it's been a lot of spam emails being sent, or not necessarily spam, but a lot of the monthly newsletter, and it's an overcrowded area. But of course, it's a very important digital marketing channel. Once you have that database, you want to start to return that very interested audience. Some of the KPIs you can track is open rate, click rate, unsubscribe rate, and spam rate. Not as good. Again, open rate is how many people that open it. Click rate is how many people that click on the email. Sounds pretty simple. A couple of tips is to have good templates. You want to keep it consistent. You can schedule them, and you can also have a kind of a drip program, meaning that the people that saw it twice, you can send them another email. It can get complex, but it's a good place to start, and make sure that they do feel welcome, that you connect truly to them. A couple of quick tips there. Search as well. You guys know probably a lot about search, but for example, when you type in Adidas, when you type in anything that's popular-ish, you might see these ads. So there's two types of search. There is paid, and then there's organic. Another word for organic is SEO. You guys have probably heard that, search engine optimization. It's something that, you know, especially when you start out with something amazing, people are gonna throw that term at you a lot. So what that essentially means is that SEO, the organic way, that's something that's below the paid ads. And that is how highly you rank and how relevant it is based on the key terms that people are searching. And paid is actually, anyone can get paid. You just have to bid for certain key terms, keywords. I mean, again, you can get really complex into it, but essentially you can make sure that you're always 1 or 2 or 3 if you pay for it. And usually that's done via Google. Here are 3 of the search engines that are mostly used. Actually, the second most popular search engine, and usually when we have a live workshop, we answer this question more live, but the second largest search engine is not on here. Google is number 1. The second largest, it's a trivia question, it is actually YouTube. YouTube is the second largest. Makes sense, right? How to do videos and etc. We're on YouTube right now, so there it is. So going into a little bit of display, now this is what I call, you know, as being more new age digital marketer. This is a bit old school. This has been existed since, you know, beginning of the internet was around. These are banners, basically. These are banners in mobile. These are banners in desktop. And banners can vary a lot from size to size. I mean, you can see there's a whole lot of different sizes, and it's, you know, it's good to, it generates a lot. A lot of people see it, but how often do you really look at the side ones? It's something that's been around for a while, and this kind of the foundation where digital marketing started. There's also something here called programmatic buying. I'm not going to go into too much in detail, but this is, instead of just posting one, you know, instead of me having a blog and someone coming up to me and is like, hey, can I get that space in your blog? Instead, I lend it to, let's say, Google Display Network through programmatic buying. And through this whole ad exchange and ad network, I am then, as a blog owner, can advertise things that are relevant for people that land. So every time you go to, let's say, Aftonbladet, or you go to, Business Insider, and you get these banners, they are actually loaded. I'm sure you guys have seen, you know, the Social Dilemma and everything by now, but they're actually preloaded based on your cookie history and based on your user persona. So they load based on the different people that land on it. That's a little bit programmatic. Not going to go into too much in detail right now. Also, we wanted to share a little bit with native. Native is something that's been emerging the last 6, 7, 8 years. That is essentially embedding embedding content within an article. And this has been a bit of, you know, dilemma here and there, because sometimes they don't say that here it says, you know, Phillips in the New York Times, they say, you know, paid and sponsored. I have a personal story about that. I thought I was going to get some smart pills once because I read an article about it. Turns out didn't make me that smart, but that's another story for another day. So that's native. Right, Lorenz, want to talk a little bit about the influencers so I don't steal the whole cake here.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, you know, this is something, influencers are a huge part of digital marketing, and something that kind of came into the landscape within the past, 5 to 7 years, I would say. But quickly, I just want to talk about, you look at the first thing as an upcoming company, you need to define your target audience. Before even looking to influencers, you and your team need to strategize and decide on your company's target audience. This is what will ultimately help you determine what kind of influencers you actually need, who can, get the job done for you, and what channels you need to be present on. So once you define the target audience, that's going to make it easier for you to determine what channels you actually need to be on. Are you looking for an older audience, a younger audience? Then maybe you lean towards Facebook if it's older. Younger, maybe TikTok, Snapchat. So once you decide even the audience and the channels, this is where you'll then look into, okay, who's doing this platform extremely well, but also who is more niche into the product or service that you are selling. So when you're trying to reach out to an influencer, it's important to know your own product's value and also have a clear idea of how you plan on tracking the ROI of the influencer's work. Because you don't want to just hire someone and assume that their 10,000, 50,000 followers are actually going to work in your favor. But the goal is, if you can at least determine the quality of their audience and how well their audience is, or their community is even engaging with them, then that's a way for you to actually determine if this person or this this influencer is the right one for you. Right. Something is like, even if you're in a low budget stage, something that I've done with some of my companies was, I look to friends and family. Look to friends and family first to help you get off the ground. Have them do some testimonials. It's just a great way to at least get something going. And what we also call that is also the micro influencers, the people who aren't necessarily going to cost a lot of money. Sometimes they're free because they just want to try your product or service. But those are the ones I like to lean towards mostly, because they give you an honest value and an honest feedback without the money, the incentive of being paid a lot.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the influencer. Marcus, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and you can see that these are the 5, we've put an influencer there as well. They use other channels. So it's kind of like they can use display, they can use social, they can use, so it's definitely in here in the digital market, but it's kind of like a side. It's not necessarily a platform, right? But it's a means of communicating, just like Lorenz was talking about. Lastly, social, and social, we can talk, we're actually going to deep dive a little bit into social, because social media is the easier start point, I would say. It's the more visual, the more, well-known, we use it. It's definitely easier to get into. So this is what Wikipedia says. It's a website application that enables users to create and share or to participate in social networking, right? Sometimes it's profiles, it could be user engagement, what you can comment, you can talk, etc. It could be forums, more like, Reddit and Twitter, so news, entertainment, information. All of these we're gonna go over in a little bit, but first a little bit about strategy before we deep dive into some of these channels. These are the 3 golden rules that I usually say, and of course we got to have a little GIF animations here too. The first one is to set goals. This is very important. Within digital marketing, you need to be able to set goals first, right? And you also got to make sure that they are prioritized, so you know which goals are easily attained. It's easier to say, yeah, we're going to grow our Twitter account to 5,000, but is Twitter really the channel you want to focus on? I mean, you have to weigh those alternatives, right? You want to make sure that they're concrete. Instead of saying, I want to be the best at social media, maybe you want to say that, okay, I want to get these numbers. And also make sure that they're achievable, right? I mean, how much time are you going to be able to spend on these social media accounts? How much time are you going to be able to spend on search? And just make sure that they're achievable and timeline. The second golden rule is to just get it done. I mean, this is something that fascinates me sometimes, is that back in the day, back in, Don Draper, back in the 50s, 60s, you had a big boardroom meeting of people that were sitting around, drinking whiskey, and it took a while to formulate these ideas. And I think that you guys form a pretty good example of what it's like to just do things rapidly and also do them great. So done is better than perfect. That's just with digital marketing, you can do things so quickly. I can set up a campaign with a credit card right now on Facebook, on Snapchat, on TikTok. I can go into SEO and get the basics of search engine optimization right now, like within 15 minutes. I could start it. So get it done. And lastly, data is your friend. Never forget that with all of these amazing platforms, you have a wide disposal of data. So never assume based on experience, like, oh, I think that my audience are gonna like this. So I think, just try at least to conclude based on data. I've tested this audience and I've tested that audience, and this audience performs better. This gives us more conversions. I've tested this image versus that image. You want to do a lot of testing and you want to do a lot of conclusions based on that data, because with email, with display, with search, with native, with influencers, you have a wide display of data at your disposal. A little bit as well of strategy. You want to follow the digital marketing funnel. I'm not sure if you guys have, perhaps is this familiar to you with IDA, awareness, interest, desired, action. But this is how in digital marketing you can think of the funnel as well. It's basically awareness. And awareness is how recognizable your brand is. It's getting it out there. You're measuring in reach, how many people you reach, how many times they see it, etc. Eventually, they're gonna click or engage in some sort, and that would be, consideration. They're considering signing up for something. They're considering buying something. And lastly, you'll go into conversion, and that's the end goal. The reason we divided it up into 3 instead of 4 is because this is quite literally how all the digital marketing channels divided up as well. You can optimize your goals to reach as many people as possible, or you can optimize your goals to convert as many people as possible. Depending on what your strategy is, depending on how many conversions you get, depending on how important brand awareness is, you will set these goals yourself. But they will eventually go down in this sort of funnel, no matter what. Going a little bit into channels, right? And I'll try to be brief here because I'm already looking at the time here. But here's the big 7, and these are the numbers as of now, updated. These are the big 7. It's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Again, the big 7 social media. Going into YouTube a little bit, it's good to be on YouTube right now. Of course, you know what YouTube is, a library of immersive video content. Founded in 2005, so quite the old platform. I don't know if any of you remember, but Google also had Google Videos back in the day. And when I was 15, 16, I was looking frantically for one video. I would use YouTube, and if they didn't have it, I would look on Google Video. Apparently, Google thought that was a little bit too much trouble, so they just acquired them instead of competing with them. Trend we see a lot. Yes, and daily usage is actually the platform that gets used the most per day, 45 minutes per day on average, and it's the 2nd largest search engine. We already talked about that earlier. So a little bit of Instagram also should be pretty familiar to all of you, but it's sharing visual content, right? It's bringing more of the visual aspect to life because it has a capturing element on the different on audiences. Founded in 2010, and Facebook was losing the visual content battle. They realized that it's not necessarily about quantity, because once people got settled again smartphones, a lot more photos and videos were uploaded. And that being the case, they realized that it's not necessarily the quantity. And on Facebook at that time, you were uploading a lot of albums, but it's about the quality of the images. And that's where Instagram really came in. And of course, Facebook saw that, bottom up. Of course, you have the news feed, you have discovery, you have the stories, you have direct messages, you have broadcast, you have a wide range of different applications within Instagram that you can take. We're not going to go over them right now. I've broken it down, but we're going to move on to Snapchat instead. Snapchat, it's short-lasting media interaction, right? So you take a picture and it goes away after a couple of seconds. You take a video, it goes away. So you can only see it essentially once. You can replay it, etc. Or there's other more features now which you can save it, etc. And people like that. People like the fact that it wasn't that their content would go away, it wouldn't stay, it wouldn't be posted, it wouldn't be blown up. So it allowed it. It's almost the opposite of Instagram, where you focus so much on the quality. Here you didn't really mind the quality. You could shoot over. It's more like a texting that just upgraded to images. Founded in 2011, and it turned down Facebook for $3 billion in 2013. So Facebook tried to buy them up, and they tried to get a couple of competitors, and they succeeded in some areas with Instagram stories and failed in others. And you can also advertise on Snapchat. You can do, ad slots, which is basically just a video of your product. You can do, on-demand geo filters. This one's actually pretty cool. I mean, if you're having a party or something, maybe not now in Corona times, but if you're ever having an event when these times clear, you can easily create one based on the time, based on the location, and having like your own little customized filter, like Lorenz, 30th birthday party. But you can also, of course, use it for business measures as well. You can have discovery slots. You can have, customized lenses, etc. Twitter. It's a news and networking forum, and it's been hanging around a lot. Might not be a personal favorite for some of you, as I hear a lot that in the Swedish market, but in other markets, it's actually the #1 widely used platform. Markets like Nigeria. So if you're thinking about global, Twitter is something that can't really be ignored, and it's very niched, right? It's very niched. Founded in 2006, and some of the challenges they've had, it's some slow adoption. Of course, this is more subjective, but this is what a lot of digital marketers agree on, is that they were very slow on adapting to more algorithms which make relevant content further up. Now they have that, but back then it took a long time for them to do that. So it had very stagnant growth. But again, it's very niche. So you have celebrity, politics, news, information. Maybe yes, some of you follow for hopefully for good or for bad reason, probably Trump's exploding on Twitter. So it's very niched, right? You might follow some celebrities or some politicians, for better or for worse. You can also use it for marketing. I mean, it's huge in many different regards. This is an Oreo tweet that was during the Super Bowl 2015, where it was a blackout and they were quick to say power out, no problems. You can still dunk in the dark. I found that pretty clever. I loved it. I geeked out over it. Very clever marketing. LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn, of course, these platforms well, but also a marketing platform for you, right? It's professional career-related platform. Founded in 2002, actually makes it the oldest out of all of these. And advertising, it's a bit expensive on this. Now you can, for jobs, absolutely. If you want to, expand LinkedIn, job ads are fantastic. It's our for our clients and everything, we always recommend, go for the job ads, because there's a lot that look on LinkedIn for jobs. But you can also advertise your posts, right? You can sponsor your posts. Everything you post, you can push out. It's a bit too expensive as there's so little time spent on the platform, and it kind of has to do a little bit with, I'm not going to go over this in this presentation, but it's a little bit with supply and demand, right? A lot of businesses demand to, have sponsored posts, and there's not as much activity. People spend around 30 to 40 times as much time on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat than they do on LinkedIn, even though you might be lying to yourself and saying, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. Maybe in our business, but in general, these are just data points. Lastly, TikTok. Sure, by now you've heard about this sensation. Definitely it's short-lasting mobile video with music templates. Founded in 2016 in China. Not going to go over the political beef there between US and China, but there was a lot of issues there. The audience is Gen Z users. And it's growing very fast. If you guys have, if you have little sisters, little cousins, etc., they're definitely on TikTok all the time. I know I'm guilty as charged there. People spend around an hour scrolling per user, right? So it's widely used. And lastly, Facebook. Now, Facebook, most people think that, Facebook's so outdated. Oh, no one's on Facebook anymore. I only use it for events. Right? Sure, that might be the case. But the data doesn't lie. People still use Facebook, and it's kind of, even though you might watch Social Dilemma, it might be a negative stigma to it. There's a wide range of solutions that Facebook can consider. And guess what? Instagram, owned by Facebook. WhatsApp, owned by Facebook. Messenger, owned by Facebook. I can go on to some of the smaller ones, but essentially, of course, it was founded 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg. It's got the most users. It's got the most activity. It's got a huge data warehouse because it's been in the business for such a long time. And it's more than just a social profile that you might use, because it's has social interaction, chat functionality. You share images, you create events, both public and private. You go into groups and form groups. You can read up on entertainment and news. You can go shopping, either person to person or shop for either ads or setup. You can do broadcasting, Facebook Live. You can play games. You have business pages. You can do even phone call through Messenger. There's a lot of developments within VR, AI, politics. Now there's job functionalities. There's a lot of things within Facebook that can be covered. And a lot of this workshop is how to utilize some of these advertising techniques within Facebook, Instagram, etc. But we go from Facebook because Facebook was there kind of first. Everything that LinkedIn does in terms of advertisement basically copied from Facebook. Snapchat as well. They look at Facebook's advertising platform, basically copied. Don't quote me there. That's my opinion. But it looks. I've done digital marketing for 8 years now, almost 9 years, and Facebook started with these newsfeed ads, and ever since everyone's kind of adapted to it. So even though you might not use it, it's definitely nothing to be ignored. Right, a little bit about algorithm. I can, you probably heard things like, the algorithm changes. Something happened with the algorithm. No, the algorithm of Facebook and Instagram. I can break it down a little simpler than perhaps all of these scary, and usually agencies use this, right? They're like, no, the algorithm changes all the time. Let us take over your business. Like, we know exactly what to do. And sure, it changes all the time, but it also changes on so many different factors that Facebook doesn't even know necessarily what it might even face. On Facebook, LinkedIn, they might not necessarily know all these little changes that happen. But basically, this is how you can break it down, right? And it's your previous interaction with the author. Makes sense. If you like something, if you don't like something, that'll come up again or come up less. That's also something to keep in mind. If you see too many baby pictures, if you see too many of this person posted too much, just right click, hide, or unfollow, or etc. Then not only will they not show up, but also the type of content, the type of images won't show up as much. So people complain like, there's nothing relevant on Facebook or Instagram. Well, you can always, fine tune your own algorithm. Everything you do takes into account how you change your own newsfeed. Second is also previous interactions with the post type. Now this one is a little fuzzy, but it's essentially if you like more videos, you'll be shown more videos. If you like more links, you'll be shown more links. I had an interesting experiment 2016 where I just started liking everybody attending to events, and guess what? My events went up like 7 times the amount. So it's a bit creepy too. No one else liked people going to events, but Yes, and also reactions from users who already saw the post. This is more the popularity contest. Of course, if you have more friends, close friends that see something, then it's going to go further up. That's why sometimes when someone getting married or someone's had a baby or someone's getting engaged, get a lot of likes. It goes up in your newsfeed that you might see people that you've never seen in a long time. And amount of the complaints of negative feedback. Now, that's basically if people say you don't want to see this, etc. Then you're not going to see it as much. Pretty self-explanatory. But so you can use these in your business to think about that. This is what makes your content go up or down. If you have people liking it, like what Lorenz was talking about earlier, like having a couple of micro-influencers, close friends to you, liking content and sharing content, it's going to go up a lot higher. So more people can see it, right? Briefly about audiences, but you can categorize them into two different areas. Again, this is on Facebook, but it also applies on Snapchat, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, and on all basically sources. So there's two different types of targeting, right? There's demographics, and this is information that a user gives. For example, on Facebook, you have to say your age, your gender, your location they have as well. And essentially and you can choose then to say your relationship status, your profession, your education. I recommend, I know you've all seen Social Dilemma and you're a bit scared of the data, etc. I recommend giving as more information as possible because at the end of the day, you're just going to be shown more relevant ads. As long as you're more educated about it than to completely ignore it, I would recommend doing that, but that's completely up to you. And also the second thing is interest. Now, this is not necessarily something that you've given to LinkedIn or Facebook or Snapchat, but this is something that they associate you with based on your behavior, your associations, your previous interactions, etc. You can actually go into facebook.com/ads/preferences to see which groups you are in. Here you have some of the demographics: education, generation, work, politics. Not going to get into this too much. And then you have some of the interests, but there's so many of these. As long as, and this is a self-learning algorithm as well that kind of creates different ones all the time. That's interest. I've talked a lot about the channels. I've talked a lot about the audiences and a little bit of the algorithm. Now, next couple of minutes, we'll get Lorenz to go over a little bit about content.
Cool. So what you guys see right here is, for me, just kind of being in the digital marketing space for a while now, I've come to realize, I'm someone who wore a lot of hats. I've been a part of small companies, and that's when you have to kind of be good at multiple things. You don't have to be an expert at one thing, but you're good at multiple. And so in an ideal world for me, this is the type of team that I would like to be a part of one day, and have, where you actually have a full-blown content team. So, I'm just going to dive into a little bit. And so when for me, a content marketing team it's a group of creative marketers that can conceptualize, and create and publish and monitor online, offline content. It could be magazines. It could even be, press releases, which is be more offline, online. And it's kind of, your content team is responsible for not only releasing quality content that speaks to your specific audience, but also monitors its performance and how the community is actually engaging with it. So as we're just moving down, you have this marketing manager. And I'm just going to briefly talk about the skills of, what does this type of person should be. For me, the skills of a marketing manager, it's someone who's highly organized. They have strong understanding of how to manage time, how to delegate work effectively. They're marketers in heart, but they also need to be able to monitor the content that's being produced by, the other four on your team. And their goal is to basically ensure that the content is doing its actual job and reaching the target audience. Then you have your copywriters. The copywriters are actually debatably one of the most important, because this is who's actually going to be speaking to your audience. The skills of a copywriter should have research capabilities. They're not just supposed to be good writers, but they need to understand the context of what's being written. And what this means is that they're able to actually research the topics based off of the outline of the work, the project that they're given. They should also have a basic understanding of SEO and backlink structuring, and be able to also give their own spin on topics. They need to really have a full understanding and scope of the content that they're actually going to be, distributing and, speaking to their audience about. So as you move down, then you also have the designer. The skills of a content designer for me is someone that is, they need to be pretty, I'd say full Adobe CC proficiency is crucial here. because they're able to really just manipulate content. You know, they can hear what the manager is asking for, and they can just put their own spin on it. And you know, this is a tool that they can really use well. And they should be able to create a wide variety of content pieces from just one or two frameworks. This should be the most creative person on your team. You know, having an eye for modern aesthetics and being able to adapt their work to any format, mobile, desktop, and making it work is something that, you know, it's crucial to having on your team. Then you have, you know, the editor. This is the person who can go in and look at the work that's being done and just optimize it with either verbiage, you know, making sure it's grammatically correct. But it also means that they know how to, you know, navigate the interfaces and create new posts, label them based off of guidelines, schedule things automatically. They're the person who kind of fluffs things up to make it so it's good for the world to see. Make sure that it's actually targeting the right people and that it's getting the correct response back from your target audience in the community. And then you have the social media promoters. This is the person who is going to distribute all the work that the other team members are doing. You know, this person has to be highly sociable, friendly. You know, they have to be a networker at heart, someone who loves to actually engage with the audience online. It means commenting on 10 to 15 posts a day. It means, you know, DMing 15 to 20 influencers, you know, people within the community, asking them what their opinions are about your service or your product. This is someone who really has to understand what each platform offers to different target groups. So, you know, this is something that I was doing at my last company, is that, you know, you have to really understand the content that your team's producing and what channel is it going to effectively communicate with. You know, how is it going to communicate to an older audience on Facebook or a younger audience on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat? So for me, obviously, I'm not sure what the size of some of these teams are, these companies, but the thing is, this is in an ideal world, this is the type of content team I would look for hiring. And, you know, obviously it's not the case all the time, but sometimes it's the ideal world. And if you can get there, then that's perfect. Marcus, you can go to the next slide.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, you know, you have your team, or maybe you have 1 to 2 people who can do this, but that, you know, now you need to produce the content. Like Marcus said, done is better than, you know, taking time to strategize and, you know, figure out what's the perfect way to get this out. So as a marketer, there's 2 things that I kind of work off of as my own template. It's called pillar content and micro content. The idea behind pillar content is that it's all about documenting and creating long form pieces of video or audio content. This is what's going to be the foundation for all of your content that you distribute on social media or email or your website. So what you do with pillar content, it should usually be an overarching idea of your product or service or something within your niche community or market that you're working with. What you do next with that is micro content, which is derived from the pillar content. This is micro pieces that are taken from the long form pieces of content that you've created. And this is what you need to be extremely, you know, you need to listen to your community, because this has to be extremely targeted and platform specific to your audience. Micro content is what usually converts leads and prospects into customers and followers online, because that's you listening to the community and you're creating these pieces of these micro pieces of content that are speaking to individual groups within your niche community. So ways to decide on micro content, for me, I usually like to ask the community. I like to get feedback from the community. If I do a post or I do a podcast, I usually will ask them in the comments, hey, what was your favorite part of this? What did I say that really intrigued you? Someone might say, I like that you spoke about motivation. Someone might say, I liked how you spoke about food. You know, it could be anything. But now I have 2 ideas that I can use to create micro pieces of content. That's what my community just told me they liked. So that gives me the ability to then repurpose that and push it out on individual channels. Yeah, and I mean, as you see, like pillar content, these are the 2 things. Like, this is my framework. You know, obviously everyone has a different style, but this is something I use that I can always fall back on. It's a good outline. Yeah, and I mean, I highly recommend it because it gives you a lot of ways to create content daily, and that's what's important here. Marcus, you can go next one. So then you have to, once you create the content, distribute it. This kind of is touching base back to what I said about micro pieces of content. But once you create, your pillar micro pieces, this is when you need to strategize with your team or, however size company you have. You need to figure out, okay, what channels is my target audience on? For me, when I create audio, I create videos, YouTube and blogs are the places I like to go because that's where I always want people to relate back to. It's almost like the foundation of a tree, and the micro is kind of the roots that come beneath, and that's how you kind of get them to relate back to the tree and feed into the tree. When you're producing these micro pieces of content, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, these are all channels that you can, you repurpose an hour-long video into 30-second clips, 2-minute clips, and you just repurpose them to speak to your audience on each channel. Now, obviously, your audience won't be on maybe every channel, but that's up to your team to do the research and figure out, okay, is my people, do I want to speak to people on LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is? Then you need to figure out a way to actually repurpose that content to feed into the channel's most attractive qualities so that people want to engage with you.
Right.
Mark?
Absolutely. And I know we're a little bit over time here, and I apologize. There's a lot of things to cover, and trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. What we're going to leave you with here to really apply, and I know that these concepts, sometimes they might not be relevant, etc., to different phases of the business procedure, but we're going to leave you with a little marketing checklist, basically. And this is just a snap. This is, I think, maybe a third of it. But you can see here that you can checklist off. Maybe some of it, not all of it, will be relevant. We have it divided between content creation, social media, search, SEO. And you might have questions as well about, SEO and display a bit. And, if that's the case, I want to leave off and say that please find us on LinkedIn. Add us. You can just say that you listen to the hackathon presentation. We want to make ourselves very available. Please, we love answering questions. We love engaging in meaningful discussions. We like helping. So just please add us on LinkedIn. My name is Marcus Molin. You have Lorenz Eposito. You have our information in Discord. You can hit us up on Discord too. I'm an avid Discord user. I'm on it pretty much every day because there's a lot of things that we didn't go over: key terms, benchmarks, engagement rates, formulas, custom audiences, lookalike audiences, placement, formats. I mean, there is a lot of things about digital marketing that we did not necessarily go over: bidding, campaign, about advertising, Google Ads, etc. So that's it for us. I don't know if we have time for questions, but maybe you want to do that on Discord. But thank you guys so much for listening. We're available whenever, and good luck with your digital marketing endeavors.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening in.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for your presentation. Thank you. This couldn't be more relevant in the era we're living. Needless to stress the importance of marketing in general. So thanks again, and thanks for everybody for tuning in. So I just want to remind you guys that next at 7 o'clock, we have a talk about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, our common future, how to move on with your idea after the hack with principal of Bermuda Media, Angela Bermuda. So stay tuned in, guys. Thanks again, and bye.